Kiss.
Right.
Kiss.
Mr. Heath.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the May 16th Council Work Session. On the agenda today, we have a presentation by Mr. John O'Brien on the GIS. Mr. O'Brien.
Say a few words.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
You weren't on the agenda.
Well,
Mr. Moles.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Moles.
Well, one of the budget sessions, if you recall, there was an interest in some of the discussion on GIS and asset management. So I appreciate the opportunity for Public Works to do a presentation on that. Unfortunately, I predate a lot of this stuff, so I had to learn a lot. But one of the things that caught my attention when I went to a seminar about GIS was they described the geographic information system as that you can, everything that's ever happened on the earth can be attributed to a location on the earth. And that's the basis with where you look at this is the filing system is the earth and the longitude, latitude of everything. So the way right now that we deal with a lot of stuff or have in the past was you had file drawers filled with stuff, and it was either based on the year that something was done, the name of what something was, or who was doing the work. And you correlate all those files. And then as something happens, for example, a bridge, if we update a bridge, as another file that's created. What geographic information systems does is take all that data and associate it with a particular location. So whenever, if you've got all that data, all you got to do is know where it is. You go to that spot and you pull it up and all that information is brought to it. And as you well know, the infrastructure that the city owns and takes care of is significant and enormous. And this system allows us to track all that and keep the improvements in hand and up to date with what we've got to do. So that's what John has been working on as far as the public works side of GIS. As you know, the county, through the relationship with the city, has a GIS system. We pull that data in and then adapt it for our use. So what John's going to do is go through a little presentation he's been working on with me on and give us some background on it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Chair, members of the council. I'd like to express my appreciation for you guys taking the time to allow me to do this presentation. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment and thank Mike and Amanda. Quite honestly, if it wasn't for their vision and their patience, the city would not be where it is today with GIS. And I'd also like to recognize my intern over here, Jeff Scarmazzi. He's been intern now for 2 semesters, almost a full year. And, throughout this process, what you're going to see tonight, a lot of times while I'm just doing the daily stuff, he's been developing a lot of this online capability that you're going to see tonight. So the GIS, to key off of what Mike said, it makes data actionable. The city produces buckets of data every day, huge amounts of data every day. But the key is trying to get hold of it, be able to, and get it to the right people so you can take action on it. And that's what we're trying to do in Public Works. So the primary goal for our GIS Public Works is to leverage our hardware and software to get the data in the hands of the people who need it. Okay. So what we've done in the past is there was no central collection point, and we're highly dependent on the institutional knowledge of like the Howards, the Walt Websters, and if there was something in the ground that didn't work, we went and asked, and we hoped somebody remembered something, and we tried to find the information. And as Mike said, there was lots and lots of paper. This picture in the lower left-hand corner, these 8 books of contract drawings. Every utility truck that goes out of water and sewer has at least 8 of these books on there. And when they get out into the field and they're trying to, whether it's a break or a standard repair or a service install, they have to sort through these books and try to find what they're looking for and then move forward with their work. So we're trying to move beyond that. So in the present, we centralized our collection point by establishing a geodatabase. And we've begun and we've pretty much completed the digitization of our utility network, both storm, water, and sewer. And with information data from the county, we have our streets layer and a lot of other stuff that references that. The institutional knowledge, therefore, like as Mike was saying, is now preserved in that database. We're working with factual knowledge. Nobody needs to remember anything. It's attached to a feature, and it's just, you pull it up and there it is. So how's this process, what has it impacted? On the stormwater side, the stormwater utility fee. Without the GIS, this would not have been possible. It just would not have been possible. On the sewer side, one of the first things that happened when we got the digitized sewer layer in, we started reviewing it, and we noticed a sewer line heading out into the Wycomico River. And we said, well, that doesn't look real good. So upon investigation, down at the Pine Bluff Hospital, the sewer was put in the 1920s, and it had an emergency overflow line going into the Wycomico River. And sure enough, due to the age and condition of the line, that thing was now pumping sewage from the Pine Bluff Hospital right into the river. And we were able to catch that, remediate it, plug it, and it's no longer doing that. So big impact, you know, on the water quality and on the sewer. On the water, in the past, we've been really tied to consultants as far as we couldn't visualize our data. So when we asked for a city water master plan, we were kind of at their mercy to go out and come up with the numbers, look at our drawings, and come back and feed us that information. And then we went forward with it. And unfortunately, sometimes that didn't work out too well for us. What we were able to do with this year's, or last year's master plan, was we were able to go from ground zero, feed them our GIS data, complete network, and tell them to model that. And using that, and then being able to fact check their results off our GIS, we have a true measure of our system's capabilities and limitations, and we're able to move forward on that. The streets, one of the viewers you're going to see is a pavement condition viewer. And this was done up to visualize the street condition and the pave dates on that, because before it was simply a 24 by 36 line drawing map on an office wall that got highlighted and dates next to it. And that was our pavement condition. And this viewer is taking that now where anyone can pull it up and look at it. It's overlaid with data like the district stuff. You can turn layers on and off, and you can see what the conditions of the streets and the pave dates within your different districts and within the city as a whole is. On the planning, on the park viewer side, this was something we developed for the park committee as they move forward on, you know, what to do with the city park. And it actually turned out well enough that we actually put it as a public-facing viewer. But it was originally intended to understand, you know, what's the current conditions and assist them in planning. Next. Within the public works engineering staff, I like, you know, I'm a little biased. I think the GIS has become pretty invaluable in there. It allows our engineers to look at a site when the clients come in with a plan and say, we're going to develop this. We can immediately pull up the utilities layers. We can do a stormwater runoff network exam analyst of the thing. And we can see if the client's plan actually meets what they're saying. And if not, early on in the planning process, we can go back to them and we can say, hey, we're concerned about this. They can do the adjustments they need to do and come back again. So instead of halfway through the planning cycle, this is happening now on the front end of the planning cycle. Again, public information. We've put out a couple little simple viewers, snow routes, street sweeping, and again, the city park morphed into one. So what I'd like to show you now is some of the current facing viewers. The first one is the city park one, and this is the one, and as you can see, it's zoom dependent. As you move in, you can, you know, this is on the city website. You can pick things out. Little windows pop up and tell you what's there, like, you know, the memorial. Or if you're interested in going to the zoo, you can go down and see where the monkeys live, or, you know, the bike paths or whatever. So that one's a public-facing one. The more robust ones are the two we've developed for the internal use. The first one being the pavement viewer I spoke of. Again, this takes it off that 24 by 36 wall map, And you can turn layers on and off. If you're confused about who's in your district, you click in your district. There you go. You know who your district representative is. Or you can click on a section of the road. It gives you the percentage of the roads. Click on the road itself. It will give you the condition. And it will also give you the paved date, the beginning and end point of that section of road.
So as far as like when you're looking at this and you see some streets are different colors, what do the colors mean?
That's in the legend itself. It will tell you, and it's kind of hard to see with these lights, but the different condition codes are color coded. So red being the worst down to, I believe it's green. So, you know, if you're talking in the red, orange category, 5, 6, those are condition 5, 6 roads. They're in pretty bad shape. And those are the ones, you know, people are looking at to try to get the most attention for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. The other one we've been working on is this utility viewer. And this is probably the most robust one we've developed so far. Those line networks I've talked about, go back to the viewer, please. Okay, so all three of the utility networks, water, sewer, you can turn them on and off. The features are in there down to the valves and fittings. They're geo-referenced, so you know exactly where you are. You can type in the address if you want to know the area you're working on. It will take you to that address. And then the 8 books we talked about now, you turn on the water index and you can download that PDF right onto your tablet. So instead of carrying 8 books, now you're carrying an iPad in that truck. So the next one we did was the street light collector. Now, as we move forward, we try to develop partnerships with our data. And we've been successful with Chesapeake Utilities. They shared their gas plan with us, and we in turn shared our utility data with them. However, some companies are not so generous. Delmarva Powers being one of them, Pepco. They view their data as proprietary, and they won't share it. So, but yet, every month, the city receives a bill for streetlight repairs, streetlight power, installation, that kind of stuff. And there's really no good way of fact-checking that bill. So what we came up with was this streetlight collector. We developed this application. It has all the known streetlights in the city. Now, a lot of the data is missing, so the plan is this summer, I'm going to use an intern, and we'll have some other people on it. And we'll take that iPad out, and they will go look at these streetlights. We've developed drop-down menus for them that they can put that, just choose that information, choose a pole number, then we can assign ownership to that pole, and hopefully in a period of time, 3-4 months, when all this is done, because there's 12,000 poles out there, so that's a lot of walking. When this is done, then we'll have a solid inventory and knowledge of what the city owns in the city. And when Delmarva sends the bill, we can say, well, yeah, that's good, or that might not be so good. So that's the street light. Looking ahead, one of the things looking ahead is the data coordination and collection. If we really want to progress with our GIS, this is a critical area we need to look at, of how we collect our data and how we coordinate as an organization with that data. The tasking of manpower, it's a one-man shop in Public Works, and quite frankly, I am at my limits right now, so we are at a limit. Hardware, software. We are, for a small municipality, medium-sized municipality, Eastern Shore, with the exception of the county, I would say we're probably in better shape than anybody on the Lower Shore. We have got a great GIS system. Now, I did say dependent on the hardware, because if we decide to move forward with the mobile capabilities, there will be the iPad, the network feeds, that kind of stuff. But as far as normal hardware and software, we are in great shape. The partnerships looking ahead, we're going to be looking, again, keeping that partnership with the university, the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative. They are critical and providing cost-effective solutions to our needs. The internship program, supplying students like Jeff to us, again, it's key to helping us move along. Consultant groups, we're using them, and we will continue to use them to solve some of our manpower and our specialist needs. And we try to be, and we are, as cost-effective as possible with those. Wycomico County, they're a big partner with us. They provide a lot of our data. And I'd like to say, when I first came aboard, it was pretty much a one-way street. They made all the data, they fed it to us, we tried to use it, and now, at this point, it's an even split. We're producing a lot of valuable data that's going in Frank's direction, and they're using it. So it's a lot more equitable today than it was when I first got here. And the city of Salisbury. Overall, Public Works, we've made great strides in GIS, but there's a lot of other departments within the city that use GIS on a daily basis, or, they consult it out. And it's how we can take the GIS platform that Public Works, and they can maybe replicate, and then we can improve the overall coordinated effort as a city for a total GIS. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the presentation. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Questions?
John, can I throw one thing out there?
Absolutely, sure.
In terms of reporting information to the public and to council, I feel like this is going to become more of a tool that expands beyond sort of the technical needs of Public Works and becomes real vehicle for information in terms of how we're doing to, again, the public and the council. The metrics that we have, a lot of them can be geographically mapped. A lot of them are spatial information, and we want to be able to communicate in much the way that the paving condition viewer and I'll use another department's example, SPD's crime maps do just that.
Right.
They communicate where crime's happening, and you communicate where paving conditions are requiring a certain decision point. So I think those two are great examples, and we want to try to do that with as much information as possible so that people can understand, and that we can all understand not only what's happening, but where is it happening.
Absolutely.
So it's similar to, I'm gonna say almost like a tracking device, so you kind of like know where your problem areas are.
And it'll help with decision making.
And ma'am, it's real time. It's, people, we're living in the smarter than me phone generation. You pull up your Google Maps, and it's not even a second thought. It knows I'm here and I'm going here. You punch in a place and it routes you and you follow it. The GIS does the same thing. It takes a lot of the tabular data, and it's not just spatial information. You can tie in financial data, you can tie in all your normal tabular data into these fields, and it will feed them to you in a manner that gives you real-time decision-making power. It says, this is what's happening now, this is what's happening, during a certain period of time, and you can look at that and say, well, I need to throw these resources here, or maybe, well, we can pull some and put it over here. But it's fact-based, it's true analytics with the data.
Excellent. John, thank you for all you're doing. And thank you
John,
for the partnership.
I've got just one comment. Amanda, this is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. When they finally make the final decisions, that will be overlaid onto this as well?
Yes, it will. Alta's going to digitize everything in GIS and give that to us as well.
It's fantastic.
Just a great tool.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jeff, for your, this year, are you leaving us this year, or
In the fall, I will be leaving.
in the fall?
Right.
Great. Nice work. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give us a second, we'll clear out.
Okay. We'll give you a second, maybe two.
good evening, folks.
Same to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, this time I'll entertain a motion to enter into closed session.
So we're,
We have a
Second.
motion by Mr. Boda
Second.
and a second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And we have one absent. We are now in closed session.